What if the secret to unlocking a man's heart lies not in grand speeches, not in solving his problems, but in something as simple as a touch? In a world that chains men to the altar of stoic strength, relentless provision, and unyielding control, what if a single, intentional gesture, a hand on a shoulder, a stroke through hair, or fingers entwined without agenda, could dismantle the walls society builds around them? Today, we embark on a profound journey, inspired by the piercing wisdom of Jordan Peterson, to uncover 6 transformative ways that gentle touch can reach the soul of a man. This isn't just about connection, it's about rebellion against a culture that denies men their humanity. It's about rediscovering the sacred in the smallest acts. Stay with us. This might just change how you see love, vulnerability, and the delicate dance between chaos and order. Introduction. The radical act of touch in a fragmented world. We live in an age of paradox. Never have we been more connected, through screens, messages, and instant communication, yet never have we been so starved for authentic connection. Men in particular bear a unique burden. Society casts them as pillars of order, to borrow Jordan Peterson's framework. Disciplined, controlled, and resolute. They are expected to be providers, protectors, and paragons of rationality, suppressing the chaos of emotion, vulnerability, and doubt. But beneath this rigid archetype lies a deeper truth, one that Peterson's philosophy illuminates. To be human is to straddle the line between order and chaos, to integrate the structured self with the raw, untamed soul. In this tension, gentle touch emerges as a revolutionary act. It is not merely physical. It is a language older than words, a ritual that speaks to the primal need for connection. A touch, deliberate, mindful, and offered without demand, says, "You are seen. You are enough. You do not need to be fixed, only held." It is a gesture that transcends the superficial, reaching into the depths of biology, psychology, and philosophy to affirm a man's humanity. Drawing on Peterson's call to confront chaos with courage and to integrate the shadow with the light, we will explore 6 ways that touch can become a conduit for healing, trust, and profound intimacy. Each act, from a hand clasp to a stroke of the neck, is a rebellion against the isolation of modern life, a step toward reclaiming the sacred in human connection. The philosophical and scientific foundations of touch. Before delving into the specific acts of touch, let us ground our exploration in the dual lenses of philosophy and science, as Peterson often does. Philosophically, touch is an existential affirmation. In a world that can feel absurd and indifferent, as thinkers like Camus and Sartre have articulated, physical contact anchors us in the present, reminding us that we are not alone. Peterson's emphasis on meaning through responsibility and connection aligns with this. Touch is a responsibility to another's soul, a commitment to share in their chaos and order. Scientifically, touch is a biological imperative. When skin meets skin, the body responds with a cascade of neurochemicals. Oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, surges during moments of closeness, fostering trust and attachment. Dopamine, the reward chemical, reinforces the pleasure of connection. Serotonin stabilizes mood, while endorphins soothe pain. The vagus nerve, a key player in the parasympathetic nervous system, regulates heart rate and breathing, creating a sense of calm. These responses are not abstract. They are the body's way of saying, "This matters. This is home." Yet, in a culture that fetishizes independence and stoicism, men are often denied this primal language. They are taught to endure in silence, to suppress the need for comfort. This essay, then, is a call to arms, not for violence, but for tenderness. It is a manifesto for those who love men to wield the power of touch as a tool of transformation, and for men to embrace their right to be touched, to be human. The hand clasp, a silent covenant of presence, to take a man's hand with intention, is to forge a pact without words. It is a declaration, "You are here, I am here, and in this moment, that is enough." This simple act, unburdened by expectation, is a bridge between souls, a reminder of shared existence in a world that often feels fractured. The hand clasp is not about possession or control. It is about presence, about anchoring a man in the eye, now when his mind may be besieged by the pressures of past regrets or future anxieties. Consider the biology. When hands meet, oxytocin floods the bloodstream, knitting together the emotional fabric of trust. This is the same hormone that binds mother to child, lover to lover. It is a chemical signature of belonging, a reminder that we are wired for connection. But the hand clasp is more than biology. It is a philosophical act. In Peterson's terms, it is a confrontation with chaos, the chaos of isolation, of existential doubt. To hold a man's hand is to say, "You are not adrift in the void, I am your tether." Imagine a man returning home after a grueling day, his shoulders slumped under the weight of unspoken burdens. Without a word, you reach for his hand, your fingers curling gently around his. There is no agenda, no demand for explanation. The gesture speaks. I see you. I am with you. In that moment, the world's chaos recedes, and order is restored, not through control, but through connection. This is the handclasp's power. It is a covenant of presence, a vow to stand together on the razor's edge of existence. The hand on the chest. Awakening the hidden self, the heart is more than a muscle. It is the crucible of a man's inner world. It holds his fears, his dreams, his unspoken grief, and the weight of expectations he dare not voice. When you place a hand gently on his chest, you are not merely touching skin, you are reaching into this sacred space. It is a gesture that says, I see you, not as the world demands you to be, but as you are. I know the burdens you carry, and I honor them. This touch is a biological marvel. The pressure of a hand on the chest stimulates the release of dopamine and oxytocin, creating a neurochemical sanctuary where a man can lower his defenses. The heart rate slows, the breath deepens, and for a moment, the body remembers what it means to rest. But the hand on the chest is also a philosophical act, one that resonates with Peterson's call to integrate the shadow, the hidden, vulnerable self that society demands men suppress. To touch a man's chest is to invite him to reclaim this shadow, to acknowledge his humanity without shame. Picture a quiet evening. A man sitting in silence, his eyes distant with the weight of a decision he cannot share. You approach, and without breaking the silence, you rest your hand over his heart. The warmth of your palm, the steady pressure, becomes a mirror. It reflects his existence back to him, not as a role, provider, leader, protector, but as a man, fragile and whole. In Peterson's framework, this is an act of courage, for it requires both the giver and receiver to confront the chaos of vulnerability. It is a moment where the heart's quiet rhythm drowns out the world's noise, whispering, "You are enough." The soothing back, sharing the invisible. Load a man's back is a canvas of responsibility. It bears the weight of financial strain, the expectations of family, the pursuit of honor, and the relentless drive to prove oneself. Each muscle, taut with tension, tells a story of battles fought in silence. When you glide your hand gently across his back, tracing the contours of this burden, you are offering a wordless promise. You do not carry this alone. The science of this touch is profound. The pressure of a hand on the back triggers the release of endorphins, the body's natural painkillers, which ease both physical and emotional strain. The parasympathetic nervous system engages, slowing the heart rate and signaling safety. But the soothing back is more than a physical balm. It is a heroic act in Peterson's sense, a willingness to step into another's chaos and share their load. It is a gesture that says, I cannot solve your problems, but I can stand with you as you face them. Imagine a man hunched over his desk, the weight of a looming deadline pressing down on him. You approach, and with a gentle hand, you begin to knead the knots in his shoulders, your fingers moving with care. The act is not about erasing his stress, but about acknowledging it, about saying, I see what you carry, and I am here. In this moment, the back becomes a bridge between two souls, a conduit for compassion. Peterson might call this an act of responsibility, not to fix, but to bear witness, to affirm that no one should face their burdens in isolation. The stroke of hair. A return to primal comfort. Whether cropped close or streaked with silver, a man's hair is a tactile link to his past, to the boy who once rested in the safety of his mother's arms. When you stroke his hair gently, you are not merely touching strands, you are summoning a memory of being nurtured, of being unconditionally loved. This touch is a portal to a time before the world demanded strength, before chaos and order became a daily battle. Biologically, this act calms the nervous system. The scalp, rich with nerve endings, responds to gentle touch by signaling the brain to relax, reducing cortisol levels, and activating the parasympathetic response. The body remembers, this is safe, this is home. Philosophically, the stroke of hair aligns with Peterson's reverence for the archetypal mother, the source of all comfort and creation. To touch a man's hair is to offer him a return to this archetype, a moment to lay down the sword of responsibility and rest. Envision a quiet moment, perhaps late at night when a man sits with you, his head resting against your shoulder. Your fingers move softly through his hair, each stroke a whisper. You are cared for. You can let go. This is not a trivial act. It is a rebellion against a culture that denies men the right to be nurtured. In Peterson's terms, it is an integration of the masculine and feminine, a balancing of order's discipline with chaos's tenderness. It is a reminder that even the strongest warrior longs to be held, to surrender to the chaos of vulnerability, and find solace in love. The unprompted hand-holding, a gesture of radical freedom, to take a man's hand without reason, without the pretext of need, obligation, or crisis, is an act of radical freedom. It is a gesture that declares, I choose you, not because I must, but because I want to. This unprompted touch is a defiance of the transactional nature of modern relationships, a rejection of the idea that connection must serve a purpose. It is love in its purest form, offered freely in a world that often demands justification. The biology of this act is subtle yet powerful. The pressure of hand on hand releases serotonin, stabilizing mood and fostering emotional equilibrium. The body relaxes, the mind quiets, and for a moment, the chaos of the world fades. Philosophically, this touch resonates with Peterson's existential vision. It is a stand against nihilism, a declaration that meaning exists in connection, that love is a choice made in the face of an indifferent universe. To hold a man's hand unbidden is to remind him that he is not an island, but part of a shared tapestry. Picture a mundane moment, walking side by side, perhaps in a crowded street or a quiet park. Without a word, you slip your hand into his, your fingers intertwining. There is no crisis, no agenda, only the quiet joy of being together. This act, so small, yet so profound, is a lifeline. It says, you are not alone in this vast, chaotic world. I am here, and I choose you. In Peterson's framework, this is an act of courage, for it requires vulnerability from both giver and receiver. It is a moment where chaos and order meet, where freedom and connection become one. The touch on the neck. A sacrament of trust. The neck is a place of profound vulnerability, a delicate expanse where instinct guards against intrusion. When a man allows your hand to rest here, when he does not flinch or pull away, it is more than trust. It is surrender. This touch is a sacred rite, a moment where the armor of stoicism falls, and a man stands unguarded, trusting that he will not be judged, only loved. Scientifically, this touch is a master key. The neck is rich with vagal nerve endings, part of the parasympathetic system that regulates heart rate and breathing. A gentle touch here slows the pulse, deepens the breath, and opens the door to profound intimacy. The body responds as if to say, this is safe, this is sacred. Philosophically, this act aligns with Peterson's vision of the hero's journey. To touch a man's neck is to honor his courage to lay down his shield, to embrace the chaos of vulnerability in the presence of another. Imagine a moment of quiet intimacy. Perhaps after a long day when words have run dry, you reach out, your fingers brushing lightly against his neck, resting there with care. The gesture is a hymn. You are safe with me. You can let go. This is not a casual act. It is a sacrament, a recognition of the trust that binds two souls. In Peterson's terms, it is a moment where the masculine and feminine, the ordered and the chaotic, merge into a single truth, that love is the courage to be seen, to stand vulnerable and whole. Conclusion. The alchemy of touch in the dance of order and chaos. Jordan. Peterson teaches us that to live well is to walk the narrow path between order and chaos, to balance discipline with vulnerability, structure with freedom. Society cast men as avatars of order, stoic, controlled, resolute. Yet their biology, their psyche, their very souls cry out for the chaos of connection, for the raw, unfiltered experience of being known and loved. A gentle touch, offered with intention, is a revolutionary act in this paradigm. It is a bridge between the masculine ideal and the human reality, a reminder that strength is not the absence of weakness, but the courage to embrace it. Each touch, explored here, the hand clasp, the hand on the chest, the soothing back, the stroke of hair, the unprompted hand-holding, the touch on the neck, is a thread in the tapestry of connection. Together, they weave a narrative of compassion, trust, and transformation. They are not mere gestures. They are acts of rebellion against a culture that isolates men from their humanity, that denies them the right to be vulnerable, to be held. In a world that glorifies grand gestures, it is the small, sacred touches that shape a life. They remind us that we are never truly alone, that love is not a transaction but a gift, freely given. They call us to reject the lie that vulnerability is frailty, to recognize that in the chaos of human connection, we find our truest order. As Peterson might say, this is our responsibility, to reach out, to touch, to affirm the humanity of those we love, for in doing so, we not only heal others, we heal ourselves. If this journey into the power of touch moved you, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into what it means to live a meaningful, connected life. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message, because together, we can spread the truth that love, in its smallest acts, can change the world. Drop a comment below. What's one touch that's made a difference in your life? We can't wait to hear your story.